for those that are out there that are still in active addiction. The stigma that's going on right now is unfair. It being considered a criminal act that you're using drugs is unfair. We all know that you suffer from a disease. It's not to be ashamed of. When you're ready, you're ready. There is another beautiful side to this when you get out. When you find that gift of desperation and you decide that, I think maybe these are detrimental to my life. When that point happens, take advantage of it. Use the strength to go to a rehab, go to a sober house. It may be something that seems silly to you, to separate from your significant other to do that. But that might be what it takes, because when you finally find recovery, a sustainable recovery, the sky's the limit. You can do anything in the world. And anyone that goes through this disease, that goes through the fire, you have a strength that nobody else has, you know. That strength comes from within because you've been through all of it. You've gone through living in tents. You've gone through losing all your worldly possessions, all of your relationships. You've suffered a great deal, and all that suffering becomes strength on the other side. The sky's the limit, so just come into recovery, man, and hit the rehab, do whatever you gotta do, hit the meetings, just stay active, and always put your recovery first. Yes. And I think that you'll find that it's a beautiful place to be. My name's Johnny, and I recover loud.
I recover loud. I recover loud. Let's go. I'm on a journey to discover the truth. Living life in recovery is lovely. You got the power in you. Surround yourself with positive energy. Judges hitting people with provocative penalties. Need to make a change. Advocate to change the laws. Prove to people that it's not insane. When you stand behind a cause, I'm here to speak about the pain. Recover loud to normalize the disease that's been killing all my friends and my family. The time is now to let it all go and recover loud. The benefit is healthy people, family and friends that never have to overdose ever again, never have to plead out to a lesser offense. I'm proud to say that I recover loud. I never thought I could, but I'm so proud that I discovered how to live my life again, controlling my own destiny. I needed recovery, I still need it desperately. Addiction never defined my identity. I recover loud, here to tell my own story. I recover proud, save a life of like 40. I recover loud, yeah, I recover loud. I recover loud, yeah, I recover loud. I recover loud, here to tell my own story. I recover proud, save a life of like 40. I recover loud, yeah, I recover loud. I recover loud, yeah, I recover loud.
I was born in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and parents got divorced and moved to Florida. I actually grew up on a farm right outside of the city, a major city, Jacksonville. And I went to school in the city, came back home in the country. And, childhood was just like any other childhood. You would think typical farm life. And the major issue that I think that I learned early on is that my mother was an alcoholic, and she suffered from schizophrenia. So growing up with that, she would sometimes get so stressed out. She would believe, she'd have delusions, and she had made a couple attempts at her life. And I think that if we look at now, we look at ACEs and we can look back and say, okay, maybe this is why, But, there's no way to tell. I just know that I love my mother. My stepfather was a little bit abusive. I think that being divorced, I had a little brother, and my little brother was too young to remember our father. And I think that kind of was the reasoning behind the way he treated me. So, it wasn't always daisies, I guess you can say, but I enjoyed childhood. I liked to ride bikes, ride four-wheelers, all that good stuff. But, it was mixing drinks for him early on. So, well, obviously you acknowledge the fact that, your family may be a little dysfunctional. But because I grew up with it, I didn't really notice, I didn't know there was much of a difference until I started meeting other people's families and the way that they were raised. But it didn't hold me back from bringing guys over, bringing friends over. I do know that there was some shame involved with getting rides to school when my mother was drinking. She smelled like bourbon. And, so I think maybe that might have had a role in it, The first time, believe it or not, I drank alcohol. I think the first time I drank alcohol was 10 years old. and we didn't think much of it. Didn't really care for it, but it wasn't until I was 18 years old, 19 years old, before the first time I tried cocaine. And my little brother actually brought it. You know, to look cool, he says, "Did you ever tried this?" And I said, "Oh yeah, yeah. You know, that's cocaine." You know, and I watched a lot of movies, so I knew what it was. You know, and I did it, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I went on that for about 6 months. We were doing it every weekend with our paychecks, and I was able to quit. You know, I was able to stop. So, 23 years old, I'd already been married, playing a pickup game of basketball in Las Vegas, Nevada, and my son's watching me. He was 4 years old at the time, and I tried to block a shot, but I would goof off, and I grabbed the chain, you know, from the basketball chain, and I pulled myself up, but my lower body kind of stayed straight, my torso twist, and it caused some damage to my lumbar spine. So from there, I started taking pain pills. Hell, I didn't even know what detox was until I ran out, and then I thought I had the flu. But from there, I was selling them and you know, doing them, and I did a lot of things that I'm ashamed of. You know, addiction took me a completely different direction than I thought I'd go. Growing up, I shot pool early on. I got pretty good at it, so I played on the circuit. I traveled all over the United States. I've lived in Japan for a little while. At 15 years old, I was 14 years old. I was kicked out of my house. My mother kind of sided with my stepfather. He had hit her, and I attacked him. And so he was drunk and he couldn't defend himself, and you know, I kind of went wild. And, you know, it was a choice to go live with my father or stay there. And so she sent me to live with my dad in Japan. It also kept me around the substances, and I was what you call a chemical player. I needed chemicals to play, but when I had the chemicals, I was pretty unbeatable in most cases. You know, I was playing since I was a little pup, so it was kind of my thing. And my dream was to be this amazing world-class pool player. You know, it's a strange dream to have, but and I think I neglected my family because of that, and then the drugs and the alcohol and the fast life. I think I was drawn to that for some reason. I was with her for 4.5 years. I traveled until about the last 6 months, and addiction started to get pretty bad. By this time, I was consuming 8. If I didn't have 8 Oxycontin 80s a day, then I wasn't no good to anybody. And so just to function, I was ripping a line every 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I was pretty good functioning, but if I sat down or I stopped working, I would nod out. And that's, I think, where my wife kind of had her suspicions, but I was never honest about it.
So that was something you kept hidden?
I did. Yeah. Well, I have a saying now, and I say in the groups of AA and NA that my favorite drug is more. I found out that addiction just didn't stop at one substance. I wanted to alter the way I felt, so it didn't matter. If you put it in front of me, it was done. I would do it. So I've been addicted to just about everything. I mean, drugs took everything that mattered in the world to me, and it wasn't until I had served. I mean, I grew up. I was a good kid. You know, I wasn't a bad kid. Went to school. I did all the things you think you're supposed to do. Addiction just it blindsided me, and so while the pills got you know, I started consuming more and more and more because my tolerance was getting higher and higher and higher. I would start to commit crimes to keep the habit going, because I would do anything. I was physiologically dependent on it, and without it, I couldn't function at all. So yeah, I ended up committing armed robbery with a weapon. Something I never would have thought in a million years I'd ever even consider. I committed multiple thefts, I trafficked drugs. I did things with women that I'm not proud of. I was never a violent person, but you know, more or less, prison changed who I was, and I became a violent person. Well, I was on the drug court, the co-occurring disorder court, in Augusta, and I was going through my upteenth breakup from destroying every relationship I'd ever been in because of drugs. And I finally had enough, and I said, I don't want to live anymore. It's not worth it. I'm never going to get this right. And so I took an attempt at my life, and I shot Clorox bleach and a gram of meth, and it was the craziest thing I'd ever experienced in my life. I don't know how I survived it, but my eyes turned completely bloodshot red instantly. I looked like a monster in the mirror, and I just went into psychosis. And, I tried to jump off the bridge there in Kennebec County, and hurting my leg pretty bad. From there, I wound up in the hospital, and while I was in the hospital, I knew that I violated the co-occurring disorder court by disappearing like that, breaking my phone, and basically running. But I was in fear for my life. I didn't know where I was at. I was in psychosis, and I just wanted to die. However I can get there is what I wanted to do. So I tried to jump in front of a car. Just such stupid stuff now when I look at it, but back then I was that desperate to just end it because I didn't think I could ever change. So when I did get picked up by the police from the hospital when I was released, 10 days later, I surrendered my will to God, and I told this the only thing I'd never done in my life, the only thing I never ever believed in or tried, because I've tried to get sober many a times and it never worked, was believe in something, you know? And I said, why don't I just believe in God? Why don't I just try it, you know? A lot of times I would taper, you know? I'd say, well, I'm going to taper, or do this a little bit here, a little bit there, just enough to get by until I can get off of it. And I had gotten sober for a couple days, you know, a few times. I think the longest I'd ever gone sober prior to now was maybe 2 months, and my whole life. So yeah, hitting the meetings and you know, showing up for people and trying to be honest and making sure that I was transparent with the people around me because I needed that accountability. So Wellsprings, I actually went to Wellsprings Rehab after that. It was a split decision by the co-occurring disorder court. Half of them wanted me gone. The other half said, maybe there's something in this guy. And the person that I expected the least, the DA, decided to give me the shot with Wellsprings. And God willing, I never used an illicit substance again since then. I was there for 4.5 months, I believe, and I think it's 4 to 6 months. And my father showed up on Zoom, and it was the first time I'd ever seen in his life. He was proud of me, you know, and that was a good feeling. And I wanted more of it. Well, multiple relationships. I mean, that was the major. That's what I noticed, the biggest piece of it, and all my worldly possessions. I had gone to a clinic for a while. I got on methadone to get off of it and become stable, and opened a pool room and had a little nice restaurant connected to it, Heroes. It's still running out there. Heroes is in Bangor, and I had a nice house, the boat, and I got it all back. And I worked hard to get there, and it was just a matter of. I think relationships are a major trigger for anyone, male or female, and I see it a lot, especially in early recovery. People want to get out, and the first thing they want to do from rehab or from jail or from prison is, I want to be with my girl. I want to go back to my girl. And you know, even if we did stay clean long enough for a few months or whatever, we're still got all this emotional shit we've never, you know, we do not deal with our emotions. It's just so volatile. And I watch it always fall apart. And so it's kind of like you want to tell them, you want to shake them, like, don't do it, give it some time. You know, give it some time. And they just want to jump in. You know, and then for me also loss, you know, significant loss, like losing my grandfather. My sister overdosed. My mother died from alcoholism, and my grandfather died all in 14 months in 2010. That's when I lost everything. I lost my business, the pool room. I pawned off every single pool cue I owned. And I just, I didn't care anymore, you know? And it's the fuck it's, I guess you would say. And, I see that in people in early recovery when they're just coming back in. I love seeing that light click on when they get it, but I also hate seeing it when it's kind of, you're watching it kind of deteriorate right before your eyes. And you can do your best to try to reel them back in, but they have to want it, and that's tough to. I feel like the overdose rate is continuously climbing each year. You know, we're in the 700s or something last year, and just keeps going up steadily. And as much treatment and as much of the 4 pillars that we bring into this, we're combating this, but the numbers still rise because the drug supply is poison at this point. I don't judge anyone who uses drugs. That's their personal right, and I don't believe that it should be a law that says it's illegal. I don't think it should be criminalized. I think we should go for decriminalization, but that's my opinion. I do believe that if people want a better life, that there should be places like this that they can go to. But there's people that function every day, and you and me talked about it earlier, that you'd never know in 1,000 years that they use drugs. Doctors, lawyers. Yeah, I was taught early on that, you know, if you can't be the boss, it's, you know, be the right hand. And if you, you know, you work hard to get there, it's either staying with one company or trying to do it yourself is the only way that you're going to find, you know, a reasonable life. And that's kind of how my stepfather raised me. He was a hard-working guy, you know, and that was just something that we tried to focus on, was making sure that I could start a business, getting the model, thinking of the plan. And so it made sense when I got into this. I went to school, obviously, to become a clinician, to be able to counsel on substance use disorder, but it was, you know, recovery coaching and the lived experience that I thought would help me do this. And with the business model that I planned out, I set forward with it, you know. And there was a lot of bumps along the road. There was a lot of mistakes along the road. I had, you know, I was stalled from. I had made bad business plans and made mistakes. But what we did was beautiful. It ended up working. And, now I get to see the work of these guys here. Without them, I don't know where I'd be. Well, I have, out of the 3 houses, we have what we call operational directors that run the houses. And then I also have my right-hand man, Todd here, who's the assistant director for all the Hand Up and Second Chances. And I have Natasha here, who's our business manager. We have Heath, who's our contractor, and also a manager. We have Bubba, who's a manager. We have a lot of help, you know. I have River, who's an operational director for the male house that's going to become the Family First recovery residence. We have Shane, who manages it. We have Nicole LeMay, who also is an operational director. So it takes a lot of help to do this, and I don't do this alone. In fact, I started doing this all on my own as running operations, and it's exhausting, as you probably know. And I had to train some people, and I've been so fortunate to have the help that I have today, because without these guys, this place wouldn't function, and I wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't be sober. But we're turning trap houses into sober houses because we can't afford nice digs. We have to get the ones that are fixer-uppers to try to turn into sober houses. And so this was a boarding house, and one of the biggest traps, and probably arguably one of the highest rates of criminal activity, overdoses, prostitution, and everything in the city of Lewiston. We all know the statistics of Lewiston versus the state, so arguably in the entire state. When we first got here, there were people trying to come in and just got out of prison to come score, coming right in the door.
Wow.
So we remodeled everything. Everything was completely done in this house. And I get, you know, me and Todd and all the management, we walk around town and get hugs. This used to be, there's gunshot fights out here, 3 in 1 year, right in our parking lot prior to us taking over this building. And now there's virtually 0 crime on this property. Occasionally you'll get a guy come in, he'll want to either sneak out the window, run across the street, try to score something because he's going through something, and you know, but the cops are pretty understanding of this, you know, at least the ones that know, you know, it's a sober house. Sometimes things happen, but we are one of the biggest in the state, and we still have no more problems than any of the smaller ones do, and that's due to having good leadership and people working good programs. I'd like to be an LCSW. I want to be able to understand from all angles.
And right now you have a CADC.
I do. And I also have my MERT-C and the recovery coach certifications and all that good stuff. Just what I would need to get in and work. So I also have a behavioral health professional license. But what I want to do is I want to work towards having all of everything, kind of all the treatment, everything all in one place. But in order to do that, I knew that I would need all those different credentials to get in. It wasn't more or less me thinking, oh, I want to go to school. There was a plan.
Right.
I'll do the bare minimum to get here. So it wasn't that. I just wanted to get into this so fast because this is what really truly is going to be sober. So we have 3 in the region. I had 5 at one point. We kind of downsized. I had a partner. We split. I lived out here. He lived out there. So it made more sense to try to work on these ones out here. And so We started with just the one that we're in right now. This is the older one of the bunch. And then I decided co-ed was kind of tough.
Yeah.
So we had 24 beds, and 8 of those were female beds. It was more or less the Journey house at the time. The female house was shutting down, and this was going to be a men's house from the gate. And but all these women were going to be displaced, and we had only half the building operating at the time, and we just finished construction on the far end. So it kind of made sense, like maybe we'll just absorb these girls so they have a place to go. We did it for a better part of the year, and it went okay, but it's tricky. So we ended up opening up the female house in Sabatis, and we just transferred the girls out there. It's a beautiful home out there. We're now just kind of looking for the next step, kind of moving forward with it. Well, we did it in Augusta, but I think it was our organization. I think it was A Hand Up that, kind of ran the co-ed model, but there had been some in the past. They didn't really last long. Most of the time, I think that was important. Yeah. We also do, one thing that I'd like to also bring up is that the reentry work we do. So we have, I wouldn't say MOUs, but we work with a lot of the pre-release centers. We get people on SCCP, supervised community confinement, so they can get out early on their sentence. They come to us, and as long as they're doing what they're supposed to, they can get all that time deferred. We go into the jails. We go into Androscoggin County Jail and provide peer recovery support services. We work for the wraparound connected to Tri-County and all the others within the jail. And we work at St. Francis Rehab, which is one of my favorite things to do. Every Tuesday, I'll come in. Sometimes we'll bring Todd with me, and we'll go in and share our experience, strength, and hope, and just try to bring those guys in if they want to come in, and if they want to go to any sober house in the state, as long as it's certified, I'll do the work and try to get them in there. We'll help with cell phones if people don't have cell phones, because how important that is, especially if you want to do IOP online or meetings, and just being able to reach out. So we're working currently on trying to provide the very first family first recovery residence, where whole families can live in one unit and receive treatment and voc rehab, financial literacy, and more or less work on the reunification process with their children. A lot of people come into recovery and they're working to get their kids back. That's the major reason why. And so I think at that turning point, it's very important to provide them with a house and a safety net to get that done. I give back because it keeps me sober. We own now 3 houses in the region. By February 1st, we'll have 86 beds. We help men and women alike. We have a program now that's very important and dear to my heart. We'll be working with what we call the Family First Recovery Residents. We built a board by finding all the necessary clinical staff and executive directors from nonprofits and agencies all alike, people with expertise on what it might look like to become the Family First Recovery Residents, because this had never been done. We needed a lot of different minds together to try to figure it out. We got tired of turning down couples who were trying to get into sober living. The window of opportunity for people to find sobriety isn't 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. They need it right then and there. We think that that's important, that they have that opportunity within the first 24 hours to get treatment. Right now, we're in process of building on Bates in Lewiston, Maine, 297, the Family First Recovery Residence. We will be able to work with CPS, work with the family courts. We will be partnered with multiple agencies in the region to try to provide the best care that we can in-house. They'll have vocational rehab, financial literacy classes. There's a computer lab. It'll be a certified level 3 recovery residence through Maine Association for Recovery Residences, and then ultimately a level 4 where we would provide a level of treatment that would match the need. And by working with these agencies, we'd be able to help people get back what they love most. That's their children. When they lose their children in the first year, they have 1 year to try to reunify. If they don't, they could lose them forever. All these couples that are on the streets right now struggling, we were just able to provide them a safe place, a safe haven where they could sleep, they can rest their head and know that they're safe and that their children are safe. That small window of opportunity is so important because it doesn't come around very often. It may just be emotional immaturity. It may be they fell on rough times. Maybe there's mental health issues that need to be dealt with. This causes people to, slip, make mistakes, relapse. And for them to lose their children
because of symptoms of a disease, I think that speaks for itself. I think that we can do something. I think we can do more. And I think if we work together, we can provide them the care that they need. Right now, we're reaching out for funding from every source that we can find to try to get this to happen. I think it's imperative for these people to have a place to stay where they can work a program of recovery. So let's try to work this out. Let's try to work together to try to build a program that works. Thank you.
Recover Loud is brought to you by Recovery on the Road, a Facebook group dedicated to providing recovery support and resources to anyone from anywhere, at any time, day or night. I'm real happy to see you.
Happy to see you, Mike, and thank you for what you do. Reducing the stigma and talking about this and recovery coaching and all the good stuff you're doing, man.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Let's go. I'm on a journey to discover the truth. Living life in recovery is lovely. You got the power in you. Surround yourself with positive energy. Judges hitting people with provocative penalties. Need to make a change. Advocate to change the laws. Prove to people that it's not insane. When you stand behind a cause, I'm here to speak about the pain. Recover loud to normalize the disease that's been killing all my friends and my family. The time is now to let it all go and recover loud. I recover loud, here to tell my own story. I recover proud, save a life of like 40. I recover loud, yeah, I recover loud.